The White House National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, who everyone understands is crafting U.S. foreign policy, was asked last week about Biden's proclamation of a red line juxtaposed with the Israelis' explicit disregarding of that red line and invasion into Gaza. And here's what he said.
Senior administration officials said yesterday that Israel has addressed many of the U.S. concerns regarding its operation in Rafah. 900,000 plus civilians have fled Rafah in recent weeks. Has Israel addressed all of the administration's concerns? Does the U.S. support what Israel is doing in Rafah right now?
We had detailed discussions on Rafah during my visit to Israel. These have built on weeks now, as I've discussed with you from this podium, of discussions on a professional basis about Rafah and about how Israel can achieve the defeat of Hamas everywhere in Gaza, including in Rafah, while minimizing civilian harm. I was briefed by Israeli officials and by Israeli professionals on refinements that Israel's made to its plans to achieve its military objectives while taking account of civilian harm.
Oh, don't worry. Israel has implemented refinements that they shared with Jake Sullivan, assuring him, don't worry, we have very reliable and earnest plans in place as to how we're going to invade and bomb Rafah without killing a huge number of civilians. And then Jake Sullivan crawls back to Washington and he assures the press, oh, don't worry, they're not going to deviate from our red line. Our red line was about killing civilians, but they assured us in secret meetings and showed me plans for how they're going to do this without unnecessary loss of civilian life. That's what he said 5 days ago. Let's hear the rest.
And one of you asked me the last time I was standing at this podium, how are you going to judge this? And I said that there's no mathematical formula. What we're going to be looking at is whether there is a lot of death and destruction from this operation or if it is more precise and proportional. And we will see that unfold. And we will obviously remain closely engaged with the Israeli government as we go. That's how we see the situation.
I just want you to note how pathetic they are, how weak and irrelevant they are, how empty they are. They have been proclaiming for months they will not tolerate an Israeli invasion into Rafah without guarantees that they will protect civilians. And even though civilians have been dying over the last 2 weeks, they've been saying, oh, it's not very many civilians. They're being very careful. They're being very targeted. We don't have an exact number of how many civilians have to die for us to proclaim that they violated our red line. But if we start seeing major civilian deaths and massive attacks on civilians, then we'll assess the situation. They know they can't make commitments because they know there's no way politically, in terms of their donors, in terms of their voting base, in terms of the media, that they can do anything against the Israeli government, even if they wanted.